Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're taking a close look at Nvidia, a company that's become a real powerhouse in the world of AI, specifically when it comes to those powerful chips that make all the AI magic happen. But recently things have gotten kind of interesting, haven't they?
Yeah, definitely. There's been some buzz in the AI world lately, with all the talk about this Chinese startup DeepSeek. They're claiming they've built a super advanced, powerful AI chatbot. The catch, well, they say they did it for a fraction of what it usually costs to develop something like this.
Oh yeah, that DeepSeek story. That definitely made some headlines. It was a pretty bold claim. I remember reading about it, and it seemed like everyone in the tech world was talking about it.
Yeah, and it definitely sent some shockwaves through the market, especially for a company like Nvidia, with their dominance in the AI chip scene. Their stock actually took a pretty significant hit after that DeepSeek news dropped, something like 17% in a single day. That's like almost $600 billion in market value, just gone like that.
Wow, that's a huge drop. I mean, it really shows you the power of perception and how news like this can really shake things up.
It really does. And it raises a lot of questions. Is this DeepSeek thing legit? Could it actually mean the end of NVIDIA's reign in the AI chip market? And maybe even more importantly, thinking about the bigger picture here, does this signal a shift towards AI becoming more affordable and accessible to more people and businesses?
Yeah, those are all great questions. And honestly, I think those are questions that a lot of people are asking right now, whether you're an investor or just someone who's fascinated by all the incredible advances in AI and where it's all heading.
Totally. I
Yeah.
think we all want to know what the future holds for AI. So I guess we're here today to do a little digging, explore this whole situation with NVIDIA and DeepSeek, and try to understand what it all means.
Exactly. So let's start by taking a step back and looking at NVIDIA's journey. How did they become such a dominant force in the AI world in the first place?
Well, their story's pretty interesting, actually. NVIDIA didn't start out as an AI company at all. They actually made their name in a totally different field, the world of gaming.
Oh, right. I remember them for their graphics cards. I used to have one in my old computer back in the day.
Yep. Those graphics cards are powered by GPUs, graphics processing units. And it turns out that those same GPUs, the ones that make games look so amazing and realistic, they're also incredibly good at handling the complex computations needed for AI.
So they were already ahead of the game, so to speak, when the whole AI boom started.
Exactly. They had the technology ready to go, just waiting for the right moment. And when the demand for AI processing power exploded, NVIDIA was perfectly positioned to capitalize on it.
And that's why their stock price skyrocketed, right?
Yep. We've seen this incredible surge in their stock value over the past couple of years, like over 500%.
That's insane. But I guess it goes to show you how powerful this whole AI trend really is. It's not just some abstract concept anymore. AI is everywhere these days.
Oh, absolutely. It's all around us. Think about it. We've got AI-powered chatbots popping up on almost every website you visit. We've got self-driving cars on the roads. AI is even changing the way we diagnose diseases and develop new medicines.
It's mind-boggling how much AI is already impacting our lives. And NVIDIA has been playing a huge role in all of that, right?
For sure. Their processors are like the brains behind a lot of these AI applications.
Yeah.
They provide the raw computational power that makes all this incredible stuff possible.
So it's like they're riding this huge AI wave, everything's going great for them, and then bam, out of nowhere comes DeepSeek with this crazy claim about building this incredibly advanced AI chatbot for next to nothing, something like $5.6 million. I mean, that sounds like a complete game changer, doesn't it?
Well, it definitely got people talking, and like we said earlier, it definitely had a pretty immediate impact on NVIDIA's stock price.
Yeah.
But now that the dust has settled a bit, I think the real question is, how credible is DeepSeek's claim?
Yeah, is this some kind of AI magic trick? Did they really discover some secret formula for building cheap AI that no one else has figured out? What are the experts saying about this?
Well, there's definitely some skepticism among analysts, those folks on Wall Street who spend their days analyzing companies and trying to figure out what's what. They've been taking a close look at DeepSeek's numbers, and a lot of them are raising eyebrows.
Really? So they're not convinced that DeepSeek's chatbot is all it's cracked up to be.
There's a lot of doubt out there, yeah. Like Stacy Rasgon, this analyst at Bernstein, he put it pretty bluntly. He's like, did DeepSeek really build OpenAI for $5? Of course not. His point is, developing something as sophisticated as a powerful AI chatbot,
Yeah.
it involves a lot of hidden costs that are probably not reflected in DeepSeek's announcement.
Like what kind of hidden costs are we talking about here? Give us a peek behind the curtain.
Okay, well, for starters, think about the massive infrastructure required to support AI development. You need massive data centers, tons of servers, and all of that uses a ton of energy. Plus, you've got to have a team of really smart people to make it all happen. You need data scientists, engineers, researchers, and all that talent doesn't come cheap.
Right, those are all huge expenses. And then you have all the research and development that goes into something like this, right? Years of work, trial and error, all of that adds up.
Definitely. And DeepSeek's figure, the 5.6 million, it likely only captures a very specific piece of the entire development process. It's not the whole picture.
So it sounds like DeepSeek might be playing a little bit of a publicity game here, trying to generate buzz with a sensational claim.
It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
But even if their claim is, let's say, a bit exaggerated, it does raise some really interesting points about the future of AI development.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of points?
Well, it gets us thinking about the potential for more efficient AI models. Even if DeepSeek's chatbot isn't all it's hyped up to be, it suggests that there's a real push within the AI industry to make things more accessible, more affordable.
And wouldn't that be a good thing, right? Making AI more widely available to more people and businesses.
It could be hugely transformative. But there's this fascinating economic principle that we have to consider here called the Jevons paradox.
Jevons paradox? Okay, I have to admit I'm not familiar with that one. Break it down for me.
It's actually a pretty simple idea, but with really big implications. The Jevons paradox says that when technological advancements make something more efficient and therefore cheaper, it often leads to increased demand. So even though you're using resources more efficiently, you end up consuming more overall.
Okay, I need an example. Give me a real-world scenario.
Imagine, right, that cars suddenly became incredibly fuel efficient. Like you could drive for miles and miles on just a tiny drop of gas. You might think, okay, that means people will use less fuel overall. But what actually happens is, because driving becomes cheaper, more people start driving, leading to even more cars on the road, and ultimately you end up using more fuel, not less.
I get it. So applying that to the AI world, even if models become more efficient, the overall demand for computing power could actually go up.
You got it. That's the paradox. And that's why, even with advancements in AI efficiency, those powerful processors that NVIDIA makes, they might not become obsolete as quickly as some people think.
Okay, that makes sense. So maybe that initial stock drop for NVIDIA was a bit of an overreaction.
Could be. C.J. Muse, an analyst at Cantor Fitzgerald, he actually sees this whole thing as a positive development for NVIDIA in the long run. He said, innovation is driving down the cost of adoption and making AI ubiquitous. We see this progress as positive in the need for more and more compute over time, not less.
Interesting. So more efficient AI might actually be good news for NVIDIA in the long run.
Potentially, yeah. Because even with advancements in efficiency, we're still going to need powerful processors to handle the training and the running of all these complex AI applications.
All right, so it sounds like we've got this kind of unexpected dynamic where cheaper, more efficient AI could actually lead to even higher demand for high-powered computing, the kind of stuff that NVIDIA specializes in. But I'm curious about Wall Street's overall take on NVIDIA. Are they still bullish on the company after this whole DeepSeek thing?
Well, it might surprise you, but the answer is a resounding yes. Even after that initial stock dip, the sentiment on Wall Street toward NVIDIA is still overwhelmingly positive.
Really? Give me the numbers. What are the analysts saying?
Okay, so out of 63 analysts who cover NVIDIA, get this, a whopping 94% of them still rate the stock as either a buy or a strong buy.
Wow, that's pretty decisive.
It is. And here's another interesting tidbit. Not a single analyst recommends selling NVIDIA stock right now. In fact, one firm, Tigris Financial, they actually upgraded NVIDIA to a strong buy and set a price target of $220 for the stock.
Wow, that's a pretty bold move considering all the DeepSeek drama.
They're clearly not fazed by it. Their reasoning is that all the growth we're seeing in data centers, which are essential for supporting the widespread adoption of AI, it's all going to benefit NVIDIA in a big way.
So the message from Wall Street seems to be, don't panic, NVIDIA is still a solid bet.
That's the takeaway. But I always think it's helpful to get some different perspectives on these things, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of different perspectives, what are the folks at the Motley Fool saying about all of this?
Well, they recently had a really interesting roundtable discussion about NVIDIA, and they brought up some really insightful points that I think are worth exploring.
Oh, I love the Motley Fool. They always have such interesting insights. All right, let's hear what they have to say.
So they're kind of echoing that skepticism we were talking about earlier, about DeepSeek's claim that they built this amazing AI assistant for just $5.6 million.
Right, right. That super low-cost claim. So they're not buying it either.
Well, not entirely. The Motley Fool analysts, they really dug into DeepSeek's white paper, the document where they lay out all the details of their project.
Yeah.
And their analysis suggests that, yeah, that 5.6 million, it really only accounts for the most recent phase of their development process.
Yeah.
It's like, if you said you built a house for like just the cost of the final coat of paint.
Ah, okay, I see what you're saying. It's like leaving out all those other major expenses, the foundation, the framing, the plumbing, all that stuff.
Exactly. You're just conveniently forgetting all those costs that came before. It's not exactly a complete picture, right?
Definitely not. It sounds like DeepSeek might be trying to play the hype game a little bit, grabbing headlines with a claim that's not really telling the whole story.
It's possible. But the Motley Fool analysts, they also pointed out another interesting detail that kind of raises some red flags.
Oh, what's that?
Well, they were looking at DeepSeek's app download and usage data, right?
Yeah.
Because apparently this AI assistant, it became the #1 downloaded free app on the Apple Store.
Wow. Okay, that's pretty impressive, right?
It is, yeah. But it seems like there's this weird mismatch between those impressive download numbers and the actual usage data for the app.
Wait, really? So people are downloading it, but then they're not really using it?
That seems to be the case, yeah. And that's what made the Motley Fool analysts scratch their heads a little bit. It raises questions about, how useful and effective the chatbot really is.
So maybe it's more hype than substance. What did the analysts say about that?
They basically said it's a good reminder to, look beyond those flashy headlines and those attention-grabbing numbers. You got to dig a little deeper and see what's really going on. Because download numbers, they don't always tell the whole story.
That's a good point. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think that applies to so many things these days, not just in the tech world, but in, anything where there's a lot of hype and marketing spin.
Totally agree. It's all about being a savvy consumer of information. Don't just take things at face value.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got this DeepSeek situation, which is definitely raising some interesting questions about, the future of AI development and how we evaluate these new technologies. But I want to shift gears for a minute and talk about the bigger picture here.
Sounds good. Where do you want to go?
Well, I'm thinking about this whole trend of, AI becoming more efficient, more accessible, and I'm curious to hear what the Motley Fool had to say about that.
Oh, yeah, they had some really interesting thoughts on that. They basically argued that, as resources become more scarce and as the competition in the AI space heats up, there's going to be this natural push toward creating more efficient AI solutions.
Makes sense, right? If you can do more with less, you're going to have a big advantage.
Exactly. So they're saying that this whole DeepSeek thing, whether they succeed or not, they're kind of like a harbinger of things to come. They're pushing the industry to innovate, to think differently about how we develop and deploy AI.
It's funny how even a company that's, maybe a little bit controversial can still have a big impact on the direction of an entire field.
Totally. They're shaking things up, and that's not always a bad thing.
Agreed. Okay, but here's the question that's been bouncing around in my head. Even if we see these amazing breakthroughs in AI efficiency, are we still going to need those super powerful processors that Nvidia makes? Or could those become, obsolete in a world where AI is more streamlined and efficient?
Ooh, that's a big one. And it's something that a lot of people are wondering about.
Right. I mean, it seems like a valid question. If AI becomes super efficient, do we still need all that horsepower?
Well, the Motley Fool analysts, they have a very clear answer to that question, and it might surprise you. They believe that even with massive improvements in AI efficiency, the need for powerful processors, the kind that NVIDIA specializes in, it's not going away anytime soon.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Walk me through their logic. Why would we still need all that processing power if AI becomes super efficient?
It's kind of like, imagine you're building this massive Lego castle, right? And let's say you figure out all these amazing techniques that allow you to use way fewer Lego bricks to build the same incredible castle. You've made the process super efficient.
Right, but you still need something to hold all those bricks together.
Exactly. You still need a strong base, a solid foundation to support the weight of the castle. Otherwise, the whole thing's just going to collapse. And that's kind of how they see NVIDIA's role in the AI world. They're processors. They're like that strong foundation. They provide the raw computational power needed to train and run these complex AI models, no matter how efficient those models become.
Okay, I love that analogy. It really makes it click for me. So it sounds like the Motley Fool is saying, don't write NVIDIA off just yet.
Pretty much, yeah. They see NVIDIA's history of innovation, their dominance in the AI chip market. It all adds up to a really strong case for them, even with all this talk about cheaper, more efficient AI.
But they didn't completely ignore the risks for investors, right? I remember they mentioned volatility.
They did, yeah. They acknowledged that NVIDIA's stock price, it can be pretty volatile. It's susceptible to big swings based on, news and sentiment and all that stuff.
So it's not exactly a safe bet, right?
Well, no investment is completely risk-free,
Sure.
right? But yeah, with NVIDIA, you got to have strong stomach for those ups and downs.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about the risk, but let's zoom in on that premium valuation you mentioned earlier. NVIDIA's stock is currently trading at like 50 times earnings. That sounds pretty expensive to me.
It does sound high at first, but remember, it's all about context. Over the past 5 years, NVIDIA's average price-to-earnings ratio has actually been 81.
Wait, hold on. So it's actually trading at a lower PE ratio than its historical average.
That's right. And get this. During those same 5 years, NVIDIA's stock value, it went up by over 2,000%.
Whoa. Okay, so maybe that current valuation, while not cheap, it's not completely out of whack either, considering their track record.
Exactly. The Motley Fool, they seem to think that NVIDIA's growth potential and their market dominance, it kind of justifies that higher price tag.
Okay, so we've got DeepSeek stirring things up with their, let's say, ambitious claims about AI costs. We've got Wall Street remaining surprisingly bullish on Nvidia, and we've got the Motley Fool offering some really nuanced analysis that suggests this whole situation might be more of an evolution than a revolution in the AI world.
It's definitely a complex landscape, and things are changing so fast, it's hard to keep up sometimes, but that's what makes it so fascinating to watch.
I completely agree. Okay, before we wrap things up, is there anything else from the Motley Fool that we should touch on?
Actually, there's one more thing I want to highlight. It goes beyond, NVIDIA and DeepSeek specifically, and it touches on the broader implications of this whole, push toward cheaper, more accessible AI.
Okay, now you've got me really curious. Tell me more.
It's all about, what this could mean for those industries that haven't really been at the forefront of AI adoption, like healthcare, education, even small businesses. Imagine if the cost of developing and actually using AI solutions came way down. It could be a total game changer.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, we could have AI-powered diagnostics in rural clinics where they might not have access to specialized doctors. And in schools, AI could help create these personalized learning experiences for every student, adapting to their individual needs and learning styles.
Exactly. And think about all those small business owners who are struggling to keep up with all the demands of running a business. AI could be like their secret weapon, helping them manage their operations more efficiently, making smarter decisions, freeing up their time to focus on the things they're really good at.
Wow, yeah, the possibilities are really mind-blowing when you start thinking about it. And it makes you realize that this DeepSeek story, even with all the controversy and the skepticism, it's still a really significant development. It shows that AI isn't just this exclusive club for, big tech companies with tons of money to throw around.
Right. It's becoming more democratic, more accessible.
Yeah.
It has the potential to really level the playing field and empower people and businesses that have traditionally been left out of the tech revolution.
That's a really exciting thought, and maybe even a little bit scary, I mean, it's hard to even imagine all the ways that AI could transform our lives in the coming years. But it brings me back to our main topic, which is NVIDIA. If AI is becoming more accessible and potentially less reliant on those super powerful processors that NVIDIA makes, does that mean they're going to get left behind?
It's a valid question, and it's one that, a lot of analysts and investors are grappling with. But I wouldn't count NVIDIA out just yet. Remember, they're still the leading provider of that high-performance computing that's absolutely crucial for developing and training AI models, even if those models become way more efficient. That need for serious computing power, it's not going away overnight.
Right. It's like they have this strong foundation that they can build on, but they can't just, sit back and relax, can they?
No way. The AI world is constantly evolving, and NVIDIA needs to keep pushing the boundaries. They've got to stay ahead of the curve, anticipate the needs of this rapidly changing landscape. Think about it. The next generation of AI models, the new industries that are going to embrace AI, the growing demand for computational power, NVIDIA needs to be ready for all of it.
Okay, so let's bring it all home for our listeners who've been with us on this deep dive. What's the key takeaway here? Should they be buying NVIDIA stock? Should they be worried about DeepSeek? What should they be thinking about?
The big takeaway, I think, is that the AI revolution, it's still in its early stages. We're just beginning to understand the true potential of this technology and how it's going to impact our lives. Companies like NVIDIA, they're leading the charge, but it's a wild ride.
Yeah, a wild ride indeed.
There's going to be a lot of volatility, a lot of surprises, but there are also going to be incredible opportunities. And this whole DeepSeek thing, it's a good reminder that innovation can come from anywhere. And the race to make AI more accessible, it's definitely heating up.
It's an exciting time to be alive. Even if you're not, a tech expert or a Wall Street investor, this is something we should all be paying attention to.
Totally. Because these advancements in AI, they're going to touch all our lives, whether we're ready for it or not.
Well said. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Another deep dive successfully completed. We've explored Nvidia's journey to becoming an AI powerhouse, the DeepSeek bombshell and all the questions it raised, Wall Street's surprisingly optimistic outlook on Nvidia, the Motley Fool's insightful analysis, and the broader implications of AI becoming more accessible and affordable. It's been a fascinating conversation.
I've really enjoyed diving into this with you.
Me too. And before we sign off, we want to leave you with one final thought to ponder. What other unexpected innovations might be just around the corner in this incredible world of AI? And how will those advancements shape the future we're all creating together? It's a big question.
It is, but it's one that's worth exploring. And we encourage all of you to continue learning, researching, and engaging with this rapidly evolving field. Dive into the companies we talked about, learn more about the Jevons paradox, and stay curious, because the future of AI, it's being written right now.